Good morning, everyone. I just want to share that we see some folks are online with us now, but we're going to give it a few more minutes. Those that are online, you realize that you had to sign in, and we know that's going to take a couple of minutes for us to get up to our expected attendance. So bear with us, and we'll start in just a couple of minutes. And thank you all for joining us and being timely. For those of you that just joined us, we're just going to give it another minute to get a few more people an opportunity to sign in. All right, I say we get started. So good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Visit Lauderdale Global Trade Partner Development Update. It's our quarterly update. It is April 11th, and we are actually in the third quarter of our fiscal 2024, have started that quarter. So let's look at our agenda for today's meeting. Hassan is running the show today. I am joined today by the team. We are all here. We're all in town. Caitlin, Roger, Paul, and Hassan, we're all here. So you're going to hear from all of us today. We're excited. I am Tracy Vaughn, the Senior VP of the Global Trade Development Team. Such an honor to be part of this great group of folks. We're going to look at the agenda. We've got a full schedule for you today. We've got lots to share with you. We're going to give you a brief update for IPW 2026. If you were with us in January, we introduced a new feature for our quarterly updates. We're going to be sharing research. One of my favorite things is trying to understand all the markets that we're in, and the who, what, when, where. And we opened up the one we had in January. Caitlin took the lead and introduced Colombia to us and shared a lot of research about Colombia to help us better understand it. And today, it's going to be the Paul show, and he's going to talk to us about the UK and Ireland and give you lots of information about those markets and why we're there. And then each of the team members are going to talk about what they've done this last quarter, the second quarter of fiscal 2024. And then they're going to tell you about the quarter that we're in, what's upcoming. So lots has happened and lots coming up. And then Hassan's going to share about the Lauderdale Loyalists and our new passport program that launched in the last quarter. I'm going to talk briefly about some of our co-op campaigns. You know, this is one of my favorite things too, is to talk about our co-ops and how we leverage our dollars and our partners in other parts of the world to get our branding out and our messaging out and get some ROI. And then Ted, one of our favorite presenters, is going to give you an update for locally and more research, which again, we love. And so we'll wrap it up that way with all that great information that Ted has to share. So moving forward, let's talk about IPW 2026. 762 days till it's hosted here in Greater Fort Lauderdale. We are having our first task force meeting today, this afternoon. We have around 30 folks that we have invited to be part of this to help us in planning it. And it starts today, although I will say it's been in the process for the past year because we had to do all the planning to actually bid on it. A lot of work went into that. And we're very fortunate that we are going to be hosting it May 17th of 2026 through the 21st. And I want to just share briefly that the executive team recently did a hard hat tour of the Omni and the East Wing of the expansion of the convention center. And I've been very excited personally about being part of this bid and part of the planning for IPW. And I got to tell you, just seeing the facility, the convention center, and the Omni is absolutely kind of breathtaking, really. And, you know, I've done a lot of these shows since the 90s, seen a lot of convention centers and hotels. There is nothing like what we have. And it just kind of drove it home for me how fabulous this is going to be for us to have these buyers and the media, and of course, even just our other suppliers for us to show off all the exciting things that are happening here. And it's not just right there, but I look across and I'm hearing about all the updates to our hotels. It's just going to be incredible. So anyway, countdown starts officially today, and we're very excited about that. So, and we've got a task force, but we want to hear from all of you. Anything that you want to share with us, please feel free to do so. So now I think we're going to turn it over to Paul.
Hi, everybody. How are you today? Good to see everybody out there, and looking forward to talking to you about Great Britain, our Brits who we love, and of course the Irish that come. I'm going to try to make it as exciting as I can for you all because there is obviously a lot of stats and information. So I'm not going to read word for word, and this will be available for people to look at later on. Caitlin did a great job on Colombia. It's a tough act to follow. So why don't we begin right away? And I hope you all like my colorful map there of Ireland and of course England. Next slide, please. So a few interesting tidbits or facts about the Brits and the Irish and how they like to travel. They have three main booking windows, as a lot of you all know about them. September, which is for the following summer, of course. From December to February, which is for summer. And then, of course, mid-May to the end of June, which is the last minute bookings, which we're going to show you in a few slides how that works. The main travel is July through August. That's when they love to come. They like the heat. Easter for 2 weeks. And of course, the half term when the kids are out of school in the UK and Ireland. And of course, Christmas. Those are the main areas for the travel windows. The average UK traveler does do about 13 to 14 nights. And one of the main goals that we have, obviously knowing that we literally compete with about 15 other destinations in the greater Florida region, is to get them to, possibly go to Orlando, of course, and then spend time with us at the beach. So we, again, divide that time evenly as best we can. The average person in the UK gets about 5 weeks off, and they do take it. They take their vacations, unlike Americans who always somehow have 2 to 3 weeks left over. And again, in 2019, which we always compare a lot of our stats to pre-pandemic, was one of the best years they ever had in terms of the airports, 1.6 million travelers. 450,000 Irish did travel to the US in 2023, and about 180,000 traveled to Florida. In terms of the Brits, it was 1.2 to Florida in 23, with 1.3 million are expected in 24. And we estimate that about 75,000 Brits stayed in the greater Fort Lauderdale region and spent about $92 million. Next slide. So where does the United Kingdom, Great Britain, basically stand in terms of the amount of travelers that are coming into Florida in terms of countries? We know Canada is our #1 resource. We love our Canadians. You see them all the time, the license plates, as well as the flights that we do come into Greater Fort Lauderdale International Airport. The United Kingdom is second. Brazil is right behind them. And then, of course, Colombia. They had about 1.43 million. Interesting little tidbit as well, 27 million, or I'm sorry, 2.79 million Canadians came in 2022. So that kind of gives you the idea of the gap that we have there between the international travelers. And I know this is a bit of an eye chart, and I do apologize, but this is the monthly visitations. Again, if you look at the numbers, again, it does show you that summer for Great Britain in terms of 125K, 141K during the peak, 94K, and then again in October, again, that half term. So advanced trip decisions, and this is something that, again, we know about the UK and the Irish. They love to plan in advance. So if you look at it, the average is 226 days in 2022. We do not have 2023 stats yet, but then more than 180 days out, 40% are deciding where they're going to go. And then, of course, the booking for air travel, again, the average is exactly 180 days. But you are seeing a little bit of a trend where they're coming a little bit closer in now, where 35% are 1 to 60 days. Next slide, Hassan. Thank you. Again, want to show you where the lodging reservations are coming from. Self-book, 2023, it was 53%. An agency operator, which is online travel agents, travel clubs, walking into the office, at about 27%. The top receptive operators that a lot of you all do work with currently, Bonatel, Hotel Beds, ATI, and Tour Mappers. So if you are working with them directly or through your national chain offices, you would be on the right target to get the Irish and the Brit market. In terms of where do they stay, 74% stay in hotels, 22% are private homes. Again, this is an estimate in terms of the breakdown of what we think they are doing in terms of economy, mid, and luxury, but 20%, 50% for mid, and 30% for luxury, which actually does really fit our location here very well. 80% are on vacation. That's the main reason for coming. And the average size is 2 people. And we're going to talk about that a little bit further in the next slides. So the month of the flights. Again, you see a heavier concentration in that July, August, September, a little bit in April for that Easter time period. And then for whatever reason in 2022, about 60% did come in November, which is very interesting as well. I'm not sure what exactly that was about, but we will look into that further. The average age, the median age for the average UK traveler to Florida is 39. And the household income is $101,000, and that is US dollars. And the top Florida destinations in Florida. Now, this we really do equate to flights coming in, and we're going to explain that when you see the airlift into Florida from Great Britain and Ireland. Melbourne is 9%. St. Pete, Tampa, 6%, and Fort Lauderdale at 4%. Of course, Orlando, very high at 66%, and Miami at 20%, all with direct flights. We do not have a direct flight, which we're going to talk about, from Great Britain or Ireland into the greater Fort Lauderdale International Airport. However, one thing I do want to mention here, which is very important, is in terms of mature travelers, the average age of 60 and the average income is 109,000. That's really our target spot. 7% stay in greater Fort Lauderdale, 7% stay in Tampa, and then, of course, 3% stay in Melbourne. They also have a longer length of stay with us, 13.6 nights. And $105 is the average spend per visitor per day. So if you have an elderly couple or a more mature couple, that's $210 that they are spending together. Top activities, always, I'm sure our shopping attractions love to hear this. 83% come for shopping, then 70% for, of course, sightseeing, and amusement theme parks at 64%. All right, so let's talk about the airlines and the airlifts coming in. I do point out 2 main ones. Again, I wanted to talk to you about the Melbourne airport and why it looks like it's so much higher. Melbourne gets about 150,000 passengers yearly, but then they're dispersing. They're either coming south or coming north. They're not just staying in Melbourne. And that's because of direct flights from TUI that you see here that I've mentioned. One of the main things I really want to point out to you is Air Canada and some of the programs that we are working with in terms of Air Canada and packaging overseas. Air Canada, of course, will fly out of Great Britain and Ireland, and they will land in Toronto, Montreal. Going through customs there is a lot easier. And of course, all of our daily flights that we have is very accessible for them to get here. And that's what we're really pushing and promoting overseas when we do our missions and our campaigns. And next door, you'll see the Jet Set. That's one of the campaigns that we're working with Air Canada and a company called Jet Set in the UK. It's been successful so far for us. I actually just got an email before I jumped online that I'm looking forward to reading through about the campaign and some updates. The other main thing that I do want to talk about as well is Brightline. even if they're not coming into the greater Fort Lauderdale International Airport, they are getting to us by Brightline as well, from Miami, from Orlando, coming right down 3 hours from Orlando, and of course, 35 minutes from Miami. And we are promoting that in every location that we go to, not just the UK and Ireland, of course, but all around the globe and domestically. And there is simply just no need for rental cars. Next slide, please. So I wanted to tell you exactly how we are out there in terms of the UK and Irish market. This past February, the third week of February, Tracy and I had the pleasure of going over and doing a mission where we hosted 2 dinners, which you see here, one in London and one in Manchester, for travel trade partners as well as media and journalists. Went very well, kept the numbers low, about 13 and 9 respectively, but they were the top agents and operators in those regions. I also had the pleasure of doing a travel gossip, which travel gossip is an organization for travel agents. They do a lot of events, a lot of speaking engagements, and a lot of networking all throughout the UK. And over the last couple of years, they've become very, very popular for travel agents to be a part of. I had the pleasure of speaking with them for about 10 minutes and doing some networking right outside of London. And those are some pictures of the events. Now, of course, we also have our trade meetings as well. A couple of the big trade operators that we did speak with, Jet Set Holidays. We talked about that with the campaign that we're doing with Air Canada. I had the pleasure of doing some staff training with them. And of course, the promotion package, which we talked about. And Tracy got to do this really cool comfy couch thing with coffee, where she was able to talk to the agents that work for Jet Set and then ultimately the consumers, where she was interviewed by one of their associates. We met with trail finders, and as you can see, they're in their tariff guide. We are featured. So again, if trail finders does knock on your door or sends you a request, they are very, very good operator in the UK, and they will put you in the tariff guide there for all of their customers to see. Virgin Holidays, of course, part of Virgin Airline. They feature 11 locations right now. We are looking at a fan with them, hopefully in July. If that does happen, obviously we'll be reaching out. And then, of course, Gold Medal, which is more in the northern part of the UK. They're one of the top producers, tour operators. Tracy and I had the opportunity to see their floor, both the B2B side, the tour operation side, as well as the B2C side. And it's quite an operation. We will also be looking at working with them on their tariff guide and some ideas for them, as well as attractions. They are looking for more and more attractions to put out in their guides and information. And then Tracy also went to IMM, which is a travel media event. International Media Marketplace is what IMM stands for. She had over 20 one-on-one appointments, and there is a list of a few of them right there. A couple of big ones, Travel Mole, of course, which you probably do receive some information about. Charitable Traveler, which we do campaigns with. The Cruising World, British Airways, and Luxury Lifestyle. And one of the great things about being a part of IMM and that Tracy is able to do and put together was the sheet that you see next to the blue square box here. It's a destination update. That is a press release that goes out to all that attended IMM, as well as the database for travel, lifestyle, and travel trade media. So really great opportunity for us to really meet those journalists and reach out to them on a regular and continuous basis. And these are just kind of an array of pictures from the mission that we had the third week of February. You'll see trail finders up there, Gold Medal, Donata. The one below on the lower left is me doing some training for Jet Set. We met with British Airways as well. And then the travel gossip presentation that we held. Moving forward, what are we doing in the market to really enhance more of our positioning with the UK and the Irish? Visit Florida. I want to thank some of our partners that did jump on board with some prizes for this mission. We do work with a company there that does help us on a project basis in terms of representation. They'll be going to Glasgow, Birmingham, and Manchester in just, I think, next week or the week after. We are also going to be working with Brand USA on a mega fam. We just got this and the Hoblo fam literally this week. So very excited about that. Both will be taking place the last week of September. More to come on that once we have all the details. And then Visit USA Roadshow. Again, some of those certificates and prizes will be going to this as well. That'll be in October. And again, travel agents and reservation staff for Birmingham and Southampton. So staying very, very active in the greater UK and Ireland market. Now, I guess moving forward in terms of what we've done and what I will be doing in terms of not just the UK, but also Scandinavia and Canada as well. Tracy attended IITA Summit in Memphis. It is a show that we attend every year. We are on the board, and it's really for the receptive operators here in the United States that work with all the tour operators from around the world. Very big in terms of governance and education. So Tracy had the pleasure of going there and enjoying. We had, of course, the UK mission, which we just spoke about, and IMM. I attended with Tony Cordo, USA Travel Show in Copenhagen, which is a B2B travel show for us, FDM and Swanson's, which are consumer shows, one in Sweden and one in Copenhagen. And literally, I think it was over 4,000 with FDM and almost 2,000 with Swanson's that did attend. So really great opportunities for us. And we were able to present at all three shows. And the Outdoor Adventure Show in Montreal, which I just got back from a few weeks ago. And for some reason, we bring the sun into snow up there. The last two times I've gone to Montreal over the last 3 weeks, it has snowed and has been very cold. This is a great show. We're going to look forward to hopefully doing it again next year. Another consumer show, about 16,000 showed up, and we had 3 partners that did join us. And we also met with Air Transat. And then again, you see some of the pictures of those shows and some meetings that we had. And last but not least, up and coming Canada, UK, and Europe. I did just attend Virtuoso on tour in Montreal and had an opportunity to sponsor their lunch and have about a 6-minute presentation. This is a very, very niche market, very high-end travel agents, part of Virtuoso. And again, we're doing more and more. Caitlin and I are doing that. We are also looking at European as well as Middle Eastern opportunities with Virtuoso. IPW, Tracy mentioned 26. Well, life does go on with 24 and 25, and we attend in LA this year and Chicago. And this year we have literally, I think it's 34 or 35 partners and internal associates joining us. So a big splash for us as we get ready for 26. We have a lead PR media fam. I'll be meeting with the PR team later on today to go over some more details on that. DER or DER, I'll be meeting with them for a fam on May 16th to the 19th with Hassan. Thank you to all the partners that are working with us already. And I will be reaching out to a few other partners for site tours as well as events. Brand USA Canadian mission. This is something new for us this year. I'll be going with Brand USA to Canada. We're going to do Toronto, Montreal, and Calgary. And that'll be June 3rd through the 7th. And then Travel Marketplace in Toronto. We did this show last year. It's a 1.5-day show at the Delta in Toronto by the airport. Again, travel agents come through and estimate about 500 to 600 of them. And again, it's in there. You can sign up. We have 3 spots available. Would love to have you come if you'd like to, if Canada is one of your main markets, and it should be everyone's main market here. Please sign up. Let me know if you have questions about it. And that little kid was so cute with our sunglasses. That's why that picture is there. And that's all I have for today. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Paul. Before we turn it over, I think Caitlin's up next. I just want to remind everyone, if you have any questions at any point, please send them to us under the chat box and we will respond to it. And I do want to let everybody know all of this is being recorded, and we, of course, will have it online for you to review again. So, Caitlin.
Yes, thank you. Buenos dias. Bom dia. Today we're going to talk about some activities that we did with Latin America the last couple of months. Although Tracy and I only got on a plane in February, which is very uncommon for us, and I was getting a little bit anxious myself, but we were still really running strong with all of our markets, excited to have some representation in these markets that are mentioned here below, so that we were still able to kind of have things going on in all different parts of the world, project-based. So in Argentina, we had our representation company attend 2 different events, the Florida Day and EC2 La Devi event. In that market, just a quick little update, things are still going strong, even though they've had a little bit of political anxiety. They are still cautiously optimistic about the market, and they are still finding more demand than offer for the for airlines, right? So that's a good sign. They still need to recover some of those lift from Argentina to the US from pre-pandemic levels. So they're still working on that, and part of that is political, but it's coming back strong. They're still seeing last minute travel. They're still seeing bookings that are really short window. So don't be, it's very different from what you're going to see in Europe. This is typical Latin America. But this project work has allowed us to be in places where other destinations that we are key competitors with, Miami, Kissimmee, et cetera, we are right there with them. So we're proud of that work there. And we've been able to be in front of probably over 200 different advisors and tour operators in the Argentina market just this past quarter. Moving on to Brazil, thank you to many of you who participated with our FAMs in January. We don't normally do FAMs in, this in season really, but we were able to welcome these kind of last minute pop-ups, typical to Latin America once again. But one of them was media, and it was thanks to the big Royal Caribbean icon of the seas departing out of Miami, sailing out of Miami. So they did bring in a lot of media and tour operators for that sailing. So we hosted, thanks to our PR team as well, Mercado and Eventos, and got front cover exposure for their magazine and their top trade magazine. So that was exciting. And then Azul Viagens welcomed their top producing Disney Cruise Line advisors to the destination with us. So this was hugely successful. We had excellent, exceptional, in my opinion, exposure on social media. So as you probably know, those Brazilians love to be in front of the camera. They love to be on Instagram. So when you are hosting these FAMs for Latin America, not only you're going to get them to be in the destination and sell what they know, but you're also going to be streamed in their countries on Instagram, on Facebook, mostly Instagram. Some of them had over 20,000 followers and were extremely active. So thank you for hosting that. And Disney too, we're seeing a lot more inquiries about that with the Brazilian market. I'll talk about in a minute. So for Brazil, we didn't have any actions for trainings, just those FAMs, but you'll see in my next slide, we're gonna have lots more coming up as we ramp up right now. In Colombia, very successful. Tracy and I did travel to Anato. We had our own booth this year, and which was great. We had very grateful to Sawgrass Mills, who joined us as a partner. We had excellent meetings with some of the top tour operators like Atrapalo, Price Travel, Despegar. And right now they are continuing. I did that market update last time, but they are still with that very short booking window as well, 30 days, advanced average length of stay, they're looking at about 3.81 right now. So that's where we're at with some of those stats for Colombia. ABC Mundial Media, Tracy's going to talk about that too. And that media co-op, we did host this kind of mini FAM. It's a media FAM because we're doing a media buy with them, but we were able to bring them to some partners and show kind of some new places in Pompano, some of the newer hotels here, and do some interviews so that they can distribute really in Colombia and Argentina are their two markets. And then our in-country rep, Luis, has been very active. He did the Visit USA Roadshow in Pereira and Bucaramanga, which are some kind of third-tier markets, but we do have those direct flights with Spirit, so important to us. Not sure if you heard about JetBlue taking that Bogota flight away from Fort Lauderdale, Bogota, Fort Lauderdale. Not something that we were, pleased about, something that we were kind of caught back by, but we're still moving strong, with their flights with Cartagena and Medellin, and not sure if something had to do with Emirates flight going from, Bogota to Miami. I don't know about that, but anyways, there's still lots of Colombians coming our way, and we're still really working hard to be in front of them. Mexico, really quickly, we weren't in person, but we did 2 successful webinars with Virtuoso, so high-end attendees, Price Travel through a Brand USA co-op buy that we did. So we had over 200 attendees total, excellent interaction, lots of questions about sports tourism, cruise travel, etc. And then in Peru, we really took advantage of our Visit USA Peru membership, and we were able to do 2 webinars with them. They had me on this big screen at the US Embassy, which had me a little nervous, but hey, we did it. We were live with that Florida event, so that was great. And then we did another webinar with Copa Airlines and with Zimple Car Rental, just for Fort Lauderdale travel. So excellent events. And then we are moving forward, Hassan, to what's coming up. Tracy and I are hopping on a plane down to Brazil on Saturday. We're excited. We have one partner with us, Steve, with the Courtyard. He's really trying to be active with that Brazilian market. So then we continue on and we're going to visit Belo Horizonte and Recife, where we have direct flights. The Recife flight is, just so you know, is on pause right now with Azul. It will come back in June. So they're still going strong, Azul, and we are going to be in front of our buyers there with 2 different events. So we'll be there for the full week. We have our own booth at WTM. So if anybody is a little bit envious of that travel, you will probably be doing it next year. Look forward to it because we have space for more partners. Okay. IPW, Paul covered that. And, before I jump into some of these FAMs, I want to highlight that we do have a Colombian sales mission in June. I've talked about this before. We don't have anybody that wants to come with us, and I don't know why, because we're going to go to Medellin, Bucaramanga, Barranquilla, and Bogota. So 3 fabulous cities with great buyers there. We are working with Louise, our in-country rep, to create some great events, some appointments with operators, training events, probably some media, because our rep company does a fabulous job at really maximizing our dollar down there. So if you're interested, those dates are there. It's available on our RSVP website that you can register today if you'd like to. So back to these FAMs, because there's a lot of moving parts for FAMs in May and June for Latin America. You should have received our emails about them. We are still looking to finalize some of the accommodations, and then we will start filling in the rest of the itinerary. But in May, we have our PRGE Receptive Brazilian FAM. This is kind of that Disney FAM that Paul did a great job talking at the Director of Sales meeting the other day, that luncheon. This is not a Disney FAM, but they are top producers for Disney that this Receptive Tour Operator Company is hosting. So we are able to bring them down on Brightline and come. We're going to be the only destination. It's Orlando and it's us. So really going to focus in on some of those pre and post cruise hotels and itineraries for the Disney Cruise Lines, Brazil. Then in June, we have another one, CVC. Hopefully you've heard of them. A very, great tour operator in Brazil and all of really Latin America, but this one is focusing on Brazil. They're just here for 1.5 days, really. And then we are going to host top producers with Visit Florida from Ecuador and Peru the next week. And it's not listed here because we confirmed it last night, but we have another one 2 days before with Visit Florida as well for Colombia. So the 10th to the 12th and then the 12th to the 14th. So these are all FAM trips thanks to events and missions that we've done previously. So going down to Peru and Ecuador in September, we met with these clients and now we're, we trained them and now we're going to pick some of those top sellers and have them come here and experience it. And then Colombia, we were able to meet with these operators with Visit Florida at Anato, and now they're going to be coming here in June as well. So we're going to have those market reps, can't think of the word right now, but anyways, look for the email. Let me know if you're interested because we need to get these itineraries set. And then in August, we'll be doing another one for Colombia with Spirit Airlines. In September, another high-end Brazilian one. And then just a teaser here because this is going to be a big one. This is next fiscal year, but it's a really big one. We're excited to be doing this in conjunction with Celebrity Cruise Lines out of Mexico. It's a mega fan, probably about 40 people. So just kind of teasing you on there. We haven't sent out the official information, but any questions you have, reach out to myself. Hassan is assisting us in coordinating FAMs as well. I will be on the road this Saturday, but we are looking forward to representing you all in Latin America. And that's it for me.
Thank you, Caitlin. Roger, I think you're up.
Good morning, everybody. So we're going to start talking about some of our domestic activities that we have done the last quarter. So we started the calendar year with travel and adventure shows. We were at 3 of them this year. Paul and a couple partners went up to Chicago and braved the elements in January and presented there. And then myself, I went to Washington, D.C. and Atlanta, again, with a couple of our wonderful partners. These are consumer-based shows, but they do have a big travel agent component to them. On the first day, they can go around and get little stamps and enter to win some pretty fabulous prizes. So we do participate in that. So we were able to really get the messaging out on Fort Lauderdale to the agents about our Leisure Lauderdale and our Loyalist programs, and really get some networking with them. Then Tracy and I went to South California for a sales mission. We started and ended in San Diego, but we also went up to Orange County, Costa Mesa. We really focused on the ASTA chapters in those areas, as well as some cruise planners activities with some of their high-end cruise planners out there. And then we also had a pretty good desk side with the AAA Auto Club Enterprises, which kind of is South California and some other areas. And it's one of the largest AAAs there is. So that was a really good networking with them. We then were able to host the Road to Relaxation Fam. This was coming out of a sales mission that Caitlin did several years ago with this agency, which is based in North Carolina. They brought 10 of their top producing agents for a ship inspection and cruise out of Port Everglades. So we hosted them for the first day to show them some hotels and see some things they can take their guests to pre and post cruise. And then I headed to Vegas for 2 activations. Was Cruise Planners Boot Camp. Cruise Planners obviously based here in Broward County, but they do boot camps kind of regionally. So we presented at the Las Vegas one, 170 agents. I did a 15-minute presentation to introduce one of their main stage presenters, followed by a couple-hour trade show to meet and greet with everybody. And then Travel Agent Forum. We participated in the roundtables there for Travel Agent Forum, as well as the 2-day trade show, where over 900 agents were registered to walk through the trade show and attend the events there. One kind of organic thing we heard through Travel Agent Forum was that a lot of their clients are staying domestic this year. They have done Europe last year or traveled internationally, but this year will be a year they'll stay domestic to save up for a bigger trip in the future. So hopefully that is good news for Fort Lauderdale and our area attractions and hotels. Upcoming, we have quite a bit coming up the next several months. Next week, Cruise 360 will be in town. So hopefully a lot of you will see some traffic with their agents out and about. And we will have hosting their evening event on Friday, as well as some partners joining us for their trade show on Thursday. And then there are some small FAMs around that for attraction site inspections. The following week, we've partnered with Visit Florida and North Star for the Travel Weekly Sunshine Ambassador Fam. So 3 agents will be in market for kind of a VIP fam experience. And then they'll join me on a webinar in the future and talk all about their fabulous time here in the greater Fort Lauderdale area. And then I'll talk about the destination a little bit as well. Cruise One Dream Vacations, also based here in our backyard. They are doing one of their regionals here locally the last week of April, and we have partnered with them on a few FAM opportunities to get their agents out and about in the community to see some of the great things of Broward County. ASTA South Florida, we were very active in the South Florida chapter of ASTA. They're doing their annual spring affair in Deerfield Beach on April 29th and 30th, and we will have a booth there and host a small reception as well. AAA Auto Club Enterprises, this is a directly out of our findings in South California. I will be presenting to 170 of their agents at Port Everglades on 5/11. And then the ASTA Travel Advisor Conference. is the next time I'm actually traveling away, and that will be in Dallas on May 29th through the 31st. We'll have a booth and participate in opening up one of their general session or one of their small general sessions as well. I'll then head to Signatures Regional in Chicago, where I will also present and do their trade show regionally for their Chicago-based and Greater Chicago agents. And then they bring their regional to Fort Lauderdale, and we are partnering with them to do a FAM for about 14 of the Pleasant Holiday travel agents and advisors. So that will be coming up on 6/20 and 6/22. They have a specific list of properties they would like to see, and we will be reaching out to those properties here very soon to get those all set up. And then we do need some partners to go with us to Michigan and Ohio, July 9th through the 12th. We are going to partner with the ASTA South Michigan chapter and do their July or Jingle in July that I heard is a really good event, bringing in a lot of advisors for a trade show and some other activations there. And then we'll travel down to probably Cleveland and Columbus and do events in those areas and invite our agents as well and do some desk sides along the way. And then last but not least, GTM. It's a huge undertaking for us here in July 16th through about the 23rd. We do the pre and post FAMs for them with 10 of their top agents that apply to go on these FAMs. And then obviously GTM itself is right there in the middle with our presence there for the roundtables and their traditional trade shows. So lots coming up domestically. Like I said, we definitely need the partners for the sales mission, and then all of the FAMs. You'll be hearing from us if you haven't already. So Hassan, again, helping coordinate those, and we'll get those all out to you guys with the domestic market.
And it might be like a VIP tour in Ohio with you, right? Right.
The Columbus or Cleveland, yeah, potentially.
Just in case
Thank
you
you,
didn't know who came to us from Ohio. But
Yeah, exactly. So he used to represent Columbus, so he knows it well. So hopefully can get you into all the hot spots, right?
Yes.
Thank
I know
you,
my way
Roger.
around there.
Hassan, you're up.
All right, good morning, everyone. For those, well, first of all, I just want to say thank you to all of the loyalists out there. Back in January on our in-person, our passport had not yet been launched, but we are proud to announce that it is up and running. And thanks to our PR team here, back in early March, press release went out. So we saw our numbers go up quite a bit. So our top countries, of course, the US at 1,073. Canada is up from January when we ran it last to 279. UK, Paul has already talked about the UK folk, so 91 there, and no surprise with Brazil at 38. Want to thank all our partners that are out there that are on the back end for the VIP passport. To date, we have, well, at the time of publishing this, we had 100 verified passports issued. Right now, we are at 110. So, and another little side note, so since launch with the Lauderdale Loyalists, we have just over 3,000 registrants. We have about 1,300 graduating loyalists on the platform. So it is continuing to be full steam ahead, and thank you for promoting, and be on the lookout for more partners for the passport.
Thank you,
Hey.
Hassan.
You're welcome.
And just to support what he was saying there, we appreciate all our partners that are participating in the passport program. Please connect with us if you'd like to be part of it. Right now, we have attractions in there. The more the merrier, obviously, for our agents. It gives them that opportunity to come down and experience. It's great to see that it was such an incentive when we launched it, that we got so many more graduating. So, and we encourage you to inquire about how you can be part of that passport too. Obviously, we know our agents sell what they know, And what better way to sell your product than to have them experience it. So you've just heard a lot. You can see the team have been very busy. They've been out and about around the world, and certainly promoting the greater Fort Lauderdale and Broward County destination. And I just want to share that, so much has come out of it. And I think you saw what they're talking about. And I just want to show some of the co-ops that, we negotiate. So when we're in market and we have these one-on-ones, we're not only developing, product development and talking about, what to see and do here, but we're also looking at the ways that how we can keep us in market when we're not there. We have done some project basis that Caitlin and Paul have talked about having some people in country that help represent us on a project basis, so we can stay front of mind for our agents and consumers in some cases. But we often are doing is also talking about how do we do that? How do we get there through co-ops and through media buys? And I just want to share that so much of these conversations that we're having with our buyers, this is what we're talking about. And I just featuring here what has literally come out of these conversations that we had in Latin America and Mexico. You can see here, these are the different publications that we're working with or the tour operators that we're working with. And I cannot stress enough how important these are for what we're doing. And so we're taking our money and leveraging our money with their money as well. So we're able to really be there and give exposure and brand awareness. I want to say always on, even when we're not there. So, and you can see, this right here is what's happened in Latin America from these meetings that we've had, and the FAMs. Caitlin mentioned her FAMs and Paul, and all of these FAMs are coming out of these conversations that we're having. I just want you to understand that a lot goes into these meetings when we're there, and we've made so much headway with these buyers and with our media to get them here and to keep us front of mind. The ones that are listed here in red for Latin America are in market right now. So these are programs that are in market. And these include various things like it's banners, it's social media, it's emails, it's in-store videos, and trainings. You hear all of them have talked about webinars that they do. And these are things that we're negotiating and we're talking about. So I just want to keep that out there for you, that we're always thinking about how do we keep Broward County and greater Fort Lauderdale in our key markets. And you can see here, next page, you'll see what we're doing international, that Paul is working with. Hotel beds is just such an incredible product for us to work with. We're expanding it this year. We're wrapping up what we've done USA, Canada, and Europe. We've got Spain this year and Germany, UK. That's wrapping up this month, but we love it so much that we're going to kind of do a test market in Latin America as well, starting in June. Travel Industry Today, I think I've mentioned before, is one of my favorite Canadian publications. It's digital. We do their Takeover Tuesday. It's just a great way for us to get lots of information out there. Probably one of the most read publications absolutely there. The Snowbird Advisor, we did that, which is a website for the people that are here, and we're getting people to move around the state, all those Canadians that are everywhere. And then Travel Week Canada, we did a big program with them as well. Domestically, we've got Vax Vacation Access. Their summer school is coming up, but we've done, again, with them, we've done more or less and always on with Vax as well, with emails and banners. And then North Star, we have a huge buy with North Star this year. You probably know they produce Cruise World and GTM. They do an amazing job with those programs. We love how they qualify their agents. But we've done a good buy with them. It's a 9-month media buy with them that we've done. That's running through September. And again, it's different channels we're doing. Roger's already mentioned the Advisors Ambassador Program that's coming in. We're doing emails, the agent at home. We've got advertising, Travel Weekly. Roger's doing webinars. he doesn't he doesn't know if he has anything else to talk about. He's done so many webinars with them, but it's such a quality of group that we're getting in front of. The mobile banners, and again, articles, summer escapes coming up. So lots of co-ops and webinars there. So it just these are added values to all that we're doing. And you see that we're in market, and this just kind of keeps us out there and keeps that branding and that product development. So just want to make sure everybody's aware that that's all happening too. It's not necessarily stuff that you're seeing, but and there's always opportunity for us to co-op with you as well. So always working on your behalf. And then we're going to turn it over to Ted. I know we're running a little bit long here, but Ted, I think you're up.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Unlike Paul, I'm here for the express purpose of bludgeoning you with numbers. So let the games begin. Looking at hotel metrics, the box that I would lead your eyes to is, to start, is the cause. The average daily rate is what are hotels doing. And if you look across January, February, March, hotels are discounting about 3 to 4% relative to last year. So what's the effect of that? Move your eyes one box left, and it's occupancy. We are at or above last year's occupancy for the first quarter. So what's happening is we're trying to find the optimal trade-off. Hoteliers are trying to find the optimal trade-off between how much they charge and filling the hotels. And what's the effect? The end result of it is if you go down to the revenue per available room, and that's basically tracking with the discounting level at about 3%. So we're looking at RevPAR down 3%. And that's really kind of the result that we're looking at. So that's the expectation that we're getting in terms of end result is about 3% below what we've gotten before. This trend is a little more aggressive down versus last year, which kind of up sometimes, down sometimes. But again, the overall health is very, very strong for what we are doing. So next slide. Just a recap of what we did last year. We're looking at kind of going down to the revenue per available room. We achieved about 20% better than pre-pandemic levels at $134. That keeps up approximately. It's a little bit ahead of inflation. If you look at inflation, it should be about 19% relative to that. So on an inflation adjusted level, we're keeping ahead, but we're still maintaining good performance. We improved in terms of occupancy and ADR over 2022. This year, what we're tracking is a little bit below that. Next slide, please. If we look at year to date for this year, up through April 6th, occupancy, again, as you might imagine from the first slide, is tracking about 1% above. Daily rate is about 3% below, and the end RevPAR result is about 2% below. Nothing's happening in terms of the supply, demand, or revenue. That's sort of all pretty mundane. No big changes there. Okay, next slide. So what are we looking at in terms of a forecast? If you drop your eyes to the bottom, you look at the calendar year 2024 forecast. We're looking at about 71% with an ADR occupancy with $180 ADR and $130 RevPAR. How does that compare to 2023? I won't make you remember. I should have put it up there, but basically last year's occupancy was at 72. ADR was at 186 and RevPAR was at 134. So again, the forecast looks like a continuation of what we've seen in first quarter. How do we do in March? Moving sort of back up to the top, we overperformed in occupancy to expectation, slightly underperformed in ADR and came in just a little bit under, but all this stuff within 1 or 2%. The takeaway to read is it's pretty flat. Since I got here 10 months ago, we've all been waiting for the shoe to drop on hotel performance. Apparently, we've stepped in glue because the shoe is not dropping. It's just sagging a little bit in the sort of 2% down range. That may be 3 to 5% for the year. But again, that is considering how well we've done recently. It's more a cause for celebration than it is a cause for panic. Next slide, please. Okay, the super complicated comparison of segmentation mix. What I will tell you, the one question that I will approach here is group rates are, we look to the middle slide, the ADR, the group rates are at, we're at 257 last year, moved up to 263. Is that, are we getting a little piggy in terms of what we're asking for out of those folks when you look at the transient? If you go and move to the demand portion to the right, look at the two orange slices in 2023 and 2024, we've maintained rate. So that would imply that we are a little panicky in terms of transient versus being a little piggy in terms of group. So that's sort of the takeaway from this slide. Again, all of it is relatively similar to what we've seen before. Next slide, please. In terms of the competitive set, pretty much blur your eyes, step out. Everything is approximately the same over the course of the last 3 months. There really is not a lot to be gleaned. The outliers are Orlando has come back to earth because they've normalized on a year-over-year basis, and Naples is just recovery from Hurricane Ian. So again, nothing spectacular in the competitive set. We're all behaving about the same, and we're all getting about the same results. Next slide. In terms of Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport, we are looking at growth that is approaching pre-pandemic levels. Expect that to continue. There's a lot of flux in there. You're going to see JetBlue and Southwest on the margin taking down some flights here, some flights there. Spirit is probably going to be gaining flights. So the whole thing is going to be maybe a little bit below 2019, but not a material amount. Moving on to Miami. Miami changed policies in terms of how they incentivize domestic airlines to fly there. That is why the 2023 line is much higher than the pre-pandemic levels. That's all driven by domestic. It's all driven by fare changes. We benefit to the tune of 30% of the travelers coming into Miami. So this is a good news story. Overall impact of airline is a big thumbs up. So we will move on with that. Finally, moving on to cruise lines. Cruise lines, if you look in November, you see the arrival of Disney and to some degree the upgauging of the ships that go in. You look at 2023 underperforming 2019. The reason they did that across the summer was because there weren't as many ships in there. The published schedules have an equilibration and even actually an addition on 2019 capacity. So expect these lines to cross as the 2024 sailing season continues. Nothing but good news there, particularly to the southern region hotels. But again, very positive story. Cruises are going up. If you listen to cruise line earnings calls, well, they'll always be dour and always want more because that's what public traded companies do. That said, they should be high-fiving themselves because ultimately cruises are back and they haven't discovered their ceiling yet. And I think we are now done with this. I don't think I have a bonus slide. So I will turn it back to you with exactly 1 minute to conclude.
Yeah, well, we've got a question, Ted, it's for you. It says, are there any numbers related to sports tourism, whether in hotel metrics or total amount of visitors?
In terms of we have very strong sports tourism. It really picks up. I would have to go back. I can talk about it. You can email me, tbottomer@broward.org. I can find a more detailed answer to your question. But the high level is we really encourage sports tourism. We're doing well bringing outside visitors for Inter Miami, all of that being up north in Lauderdale. That works well for us. It's continuing to go. I mean, our star is injured, but the impact of that is good. We see outside visitation, looking at the foot traffic numbers. That's very positive in terms of youth and other events. They're looking strong generally in the off-peak. They make us look good in summer. So, thanks to Glenn and his team for going out and finding great events, because they're some of our best citywide events as we go across the summer. In terms of airport and port numbers, I am a receiver. I do not generate them. They mail them directly to me or put them up on their websites. I check literally every day for Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport. I check literally every day for Miami International Airport. And so we can update them. I can only update them as fast as I get them. I actually inferred, because they haven't published December at Miami, I inferred what December would be to make that calendar from the year end and the year to date November. So I'm doing my best, but I cannot, it is not my fire to light.
Thank you, Ted. And just for the other participants, we did have a question come in about why we didn't have those numbers for the airport and the port for Q1 in 2024. So with that, in conclusion, I don't see any additional questions. I just want to remind everybody that please follow us. The Sun, if you can share the next slide, that follow us on Leisure Lauderdale. You'll keep up with all we're doing. You see we're doing a lot, but you can follow us there and see it as it's happening. And then also just want to share that we are planning our next quarterly meeting, July 11th, 9:30 at 2 will be virtual. And we hope to well, we won't see you, but hope that you'll join us again. So thank you all, and we're just about on time. Bye.
Everybody.